KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Oh, my.
It never gets old.
Well, you think it never gets old.
You would think it would never get old, but it doesn't.
As long as it's not old to me. It's,
As long as I keep reacting the way I react to that.
It's every single time.
Old, so,
but don't get me wrong, Joe one day and we're going to get together and we're going to come up with a way that will really freak you out in the next opening.
Yes.
Good luck.
I think we should start working on that.
Okay.
That's a good idea. We'll have a surprise for him next week.
Let's do a quick shout out to one of our alumni. It's her birthday today, Lorna Ramsey with Keller Williams Metropolitan.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Lorna.
And hopefully she's having a great day. She's probably out there selling real estate and working hard.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to be having a great day inside the studio, specifically because we're going to be talking about either beachside or lakeside living.
Yes, and we've been planning this show for hours.
Hours. Exactly. Called everybody yesterday, like 9 o'clock at night, and they said, absolutely, let's do it.
I was so delighted to hear that we had so many people step forward and go, yeah, I want to do that. So, and first up, the Lady of the Lake, Katherine Maher.
Lady of the Lake. We're going to start off with Lakeside, Katherine. How you doing?
Well, I just
Thank you.
made an executive decision that we'd start here.
And go.
And go. Okay. And Katherine, before the show, you and I were talking about that you actually from Manhattan Beach in the California area. How did you end up getting to Conroe, Texas?
Well, we tell everyone that we lost a bet and we moved here, and we're still here. We enjoy it. We're enjoying it and loving it, and all of our friends and family are moving here slowly but surely.
So I think it's you lost a bet and then you made a second bet and lost that one too then, huh?
Right.
Anyway, let's talk about what you do up in Lake Conroe. What kind of products you sell. I know you sell a lot of the high-end homes and things, but you sell lake living, and we talk a lot about. We don't really sell houses anymore. We sell lifestyles. So let's talk about the Conroe lifestyle.
Well, we are still selling not just expensive homes. We sell condos, land, waterfront homes, lots, condos, townhomes, and all-end properties. So it's whatever you want, we're there to help you find it. It doesn't have to be an expensive home. And
one of the things, it's been happening a lot up there. In fact, we were talking about this also on the break, and more importantly, my personal visits up there all the time, is the growth that you are experiencing up in Lake Walden, Conroe in general, Montgomery County, and Montgomery. You just seen a tremendous amount of growth. And one of the things I always like to talk about is it's not just limited. We talk about Houston all the time. We talk about some of the areas in Houston, but it's not just limited to a specific area. It's truly, on the outskirts also going in Houston, especially some of the beachside, in this case, lakefront living.
Right, there is. And it's moving faster and faster because the Woodlands area is filling up quicker with these people coming in. And then now they realize there is a lake up here. We only are 35, 40 minutes away. We can be up there and enjoy that lake and be working right in the city of where they're going to be employed, the new people coming in.
Not only is there a lake, but it's filled up now.
Today it's full. After the last rain, it's at full capacity, 201.1. So we are great. We're good.
Yeah.
And that's very important because there are so many places you hear about that are going through severe droughts, and their lakes are not recovering. They have no opportunity to have them recovered. You go to places in Nevada, you even go places in California where its lakes have dried up or all but gone away. It's great that whenever things went down as bad as they did, 4 or 5 years ago, we got it back really fast.
We did. We do pretty quickly in the Lake Walden area in the Montgomery County because it's fed by streams. That lake is fed by streams. And when it rains on the Sam Houston National Forest, it feeds into that lake. So we do fill up pretty quickly when we get those rains.
And one of the things I always like to ask, because I'm an individual, I love to ski, I love to be out in a boat, when we talk about fishing here in the next segment probably. But, what are some of the fun things to do out there when it comes to lakefront? I mean, that's obviously a big draw out there is what you can do on the weekends, the lakefront living, to be able to get out on your boat, to be able to walk out on the pier, to be able to even go do some good fishing in some areas. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, there's lots to do if you know where to go. I mean, there's Papa's Ice House. People drive up in there and have lunches and dinners and things like that during the way, and they have some music activity on there. And then there's other parts of the lake that have it. There's an island out there that people go on and bring their picnic, and it's beach-like, and it's been cleaned and maintained by one of our fellow workers out there who believes in the lake and saving the facilities for the lake people to enjoy. Fishing, water skiing, there's all places to rent everything, double-decker boats to take and have your parties out on the lake. So there's several areas of entertainment.
I'm hearing about a party coming up. That might be something in the future.
I heard party. I heard
double deck. I heard double deck boat and partying. I'm thinking the next Real Estate Rat Pack event we do.
I heard it was booked, and I
year.
already was upset that I didn't get an invite.
Next time. Conroe is one of the areas I was looking at when I retire, is where I'd like to retire, because I'd love to wake up in the morning and look at water. And the thing I thought about Conroe, and you might talk a little bit about the city of Conroe. I mean, you've got all your major medical there. You're not very far from the Intercontinental Airport. I mean, there's a lot of things that would entice someone to go up there. Is that what you're seeing with the people who are moving in?
Yes, they're wanting that central area, the town-like feeling, but still have country around them, so they're not just totally jam-packed. You just spreads out all directions from Conroe to find your house and your dream, and be associated with everything that you need.
Rob, realtors don't retire. They just go listless.
Where did you hear that? That's my old job.
I'm stealing your material.
Yeah, that's okay. That's funny.
Aren't you impressed? I remembered it.
Yeah, I get a lot of course, varying opinions, and I know a lot of realtors up in that area. If someone's coming in and didn't know much about the lake area, which area of the lake really is probably best suited for recreation and things like that? Or is there any?
Well, it depends. Everybody has a different view of what they're looking for. I mean, you go north up I-45 and get off at Corinthian Point, which is Calvary Road. You've got a really desolate-looking area with a lot of trees, and it's booming up there. So people say, I want to be close to 45 and be out in the country and still have lake access. Well, some of that's great for up there. And some people want the school districts. So the school districts are very important to a lot of them. And they want the south side because it's busier and there's more restaurants right there. But then again, 1097 is just booming as well. So you got the whole lake just popping.
Yeah.
And that is very interesting, though. It's a good question. A great answer is everyone buys according to their own lifestyle. We talk about, everyone's purchasing homes in regards to what their lifestyle is. And then the true thing is you can get any lifestyle you want to out there. If you are going to be semi-retired, it's a great area. If you are looking for a great educational system, great area up there. If you are looking for business and opportunity, again, a lot of new business, a lot of opportunity that's moving in the north side of town, specifically that you can live on the Conroe. So, you really have a little bit of everything up there.
Is there any, do you see any different flavor to the areas? Like, is there an older section and a young section? Or I have no idea. But is there any kind of different community sense in different parts of
it's not just a separate retirement section. I mean, everybody moves up there in the area that they want, their friends. They start out as a weekend home generally, and then they say, we love it so much, they buy their retirement home, and a lot of them rent them out, put them in we have a rental pool in Walden, and we rent it like a hotel, so people will have their townhouses and condos and homes, and they want to rent them out, and then keep them, make money, and then when they're ready to move into it, they're ready. They're all to go. So
I was talking to you before the deal about my family had the timeshare up there on Piney Shores, and we were there just a couple weekends ago when we had that cool front come through, and it was just absolutely gorgeous, weather, and we were out, and my son and I were playing shuffleboard, and my daughter's into archery, and so she was doing archery stuff, and the setting was so nice. I told my wife, I said, if I could move anywhere in the Houston area, it would probably be out there, but it's too far from our kids' school, and we're very attached to that. But I'm like, I really love still there's trees everywhere, and there's still convenience.
Right.
I can get to Home Depot or whatever, not too far by. I'm all about that. I'm basically lazy when it comes to that stuff, so I don't want to have to go very far for Home Depot.
That's right. That's perfect.
And I have a question, because I hear this all the time. Is individuals will ask me, hey, Chris, what's the difference between Lake Conroe and Walden? And I hear that a lot. People get confused because obviously Walden is on the lake. It's a big lake up there. But there's two distinct areas. I mean, if you're going to go live in the Conroe area, it's different than living in Montgomery.
Right.
And while it's close, relatively close, they are different areas. Describe a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Well, there's, subdivisions around the whole lake, and Walden is one of them. And it is on a peninsula surrounded by 3 parts of water. So when you turn down Walden Road off of 105, you're going down over water into a subdivision that is extremely treed and beautiful and peaceful and quiet. And then you have April Sound. They have a gated subdivision, which is out there on a point as well. So it's a lifestyle that people like. They hear it, they think it's a town. And when I moved here from California, I thought I lived in the town of Walden. So I had all my mail go to Walden. And they said, no, you don't live in Walden. You live in Montgomery County, which is Montgomery, the town of Montgomery. So it was confusing, but everybody says, I want to go to Walden. I want to go to Walden.
And that's probably that's a great way of describing it, because people do get confused. I even for the longest time was wondering, well, where's this Walden County or Walden City? And it's not, but it's, thanks for clarifying that, because that is something very interesting out there.
Yeah, and Walden, I think Bruce Beelan developed that originally, and it's been there probably for, 30 years or something?
32 years, I think it is. Yeah.
It's very nice up there. It's,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And easy to access off of 105. Like, say, 105 is a pretty short trip down 105 off of 45. So it depends if you want people to find you or not find you.
Yeah,
they can find you if you're there.
And we talked about it also, and Rob, we talked about this also, is, there's a lot of things to do not only up there, but also getting up there can be quite a beautiful drive as well, depending on how you do it. There's a lot of neat little areas you can go. We're talking about taking your motorcycle and going up 149 all the way up there.
The Montgomery Trace, right there, up 149. And of course, it's getting developed now. And of course, oftentimes taking a motorcycle up there, you get behind people pulling boats.
Right.
And so I'm having to find newer, more remote roads now.
Now to switch a little bit about homes and what's going on up there, homes, are you seeing any different types of styles of home? Because you're on the lakefront, obviously. What are individuals looking for in reference to living in their own home? I mean, are they looking for more outdoor space? Are they looking for certain types of amenities associated with getting into the lake easier? Bridges or, any type of things that they can put the docks, et cetera, et cetera. What are you sort of seeing in that side of things?
Well, they want easy access to the lake. So most subdivisions has a ramp that you can drop your boats into the lake and then you just park them at your house. Or if it's a condo, there's usually temporary tie-ups. So it's accessible to their lake. I mean, the boats to the lake, and being able to go out as quick as possible, jump on wave runners even, and just go out there and make it a fun day for themselves. And then they can just park it right back there, wash up, go back home to their other lifestyle.
And that's always interesting, because, one of the things, we don't see a lot of, especially when you're in, the Katy area, you're in the Memorial area, there's not a lot of opportunity to get out on the lake unless you drive somewhere. So, some of the things that we always see all the time is, you see these homes up there, and especially when you go on to HAR and you look at some of these, and they've got these beautiful boat ramps, they have these beautiful docks, and they've got these living areas, and they've got these centers outside. They actually go and have these parties right there on the lake without having to actually get in their boat sometimes.
Yes, those outside patios are just turning into halfway living areas that people are enjoying out here, and covered porches and everything that you need to live outside on the lake and then have the view right there for you.
Now, Catherine, you work as a team, I understand. Now,
yes, I do.
Now, I also understand you have your whole family held in captivity for this team.
Yes.
Now, tell me. Cheap labor, right?
Right.
Well, talk about your team a little bit.
Well, when I moved here, it was just my husband and I and our two kids, and we left one daughter in Manhattan Beach to school. And then
she won the bet.
She won the bet. She got to stay. And then I slowly told my sister, who was in Wisconsin, I need a team. I need to be doing the listings and take care of the team, and you need to be taking care of all the buyers so we can grow. So we just did that. We created them, and then my brother said, I want to come. He's a handyman home builder, so he's building. Another brother's a professional painter and a realtor in Utah. He moved here, so he's working for us. And then another brother from L.A. moved and built a house already here and selling his in L.A., and they're all going to be doing business in the building business.
That's awesome. So Our Lady of the Lake is growing. She's got our family of the lake.
Yes.
Well, if somebody want to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a webpage and a phone number. My phone number is 936-525-0095. My webpage is lakeconroelady.com. And my email is Katherine@lakeconroe.com.
Katherine@lakeconroe.com. We are coming up against a break right now, as usual, because time flies when you're having fun. But the show is just getting started, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, madam, with you. My heart won't let my feet do things that they should.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back, having a good time in the studio with Rob,
Joe,
bringing
and
me
Rob.
some coffee right here, filled with coffee grinds on the outside. I appreciate that, Rob. That's really good.
Yeah, no extra charge for that.
Yeah, absolutely. No
That's
charge
not
for the
coffee grinds.
grinds.
It's
yeah.
Skull.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he actually spit in it. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah.
You just thought Rob liked
There's some
you.
extra fiber in there.
Well, you know, I had called Diane Morellis in our office out there in the Clear Lake area, and I said, you know, Diane, we need somebody who sells out in Galveston, sells second homes and sells. And she says, I've got this guy you need to call. And it's Jace Montgomery with it's Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. Welcome to the show, Jace.
Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah.
You know, so we went from Montgomery, you know, to a new individual whose last name is Montgomery in Galveston and Brazoria.
It's ironic.
How ironic, right? The irony of the show.
Anyway, so kind of talk about how you got into real estate, how you got to Galveston, and we'll start right there.
Well, I sold new homes for 14 years in Houston, and I always wanted to be a realtor. I sold for the builders like David Weekley Homes or D.R. Horton, things like that. But I always wanted to work in Galveston and sell the vacation homes. I like living by the beach. I like fishing. And there's always something going on in Galveston. It's just a great place to live.
And can you live near the beach and fish in Galveston?
All over.
All over, right?
Mm-hmm. The fishing is just phenomenal.
Just a little, yeah. And that's what I hear. You know, a lot of times people are going out fishing. You have all different types of. You can go out to deep sea fishing. You know, you can do some more shallow fishing.
Yes, you can wade fish on the bay side of the island or on the beach, catch speckled trout, redfish, flounder, or you can get in a boat and go out for about an hour, and it's just phenomenal deep sea fishing, just not far
You
at
all have more festivals down there than anybody I know. It's like every other week there's a festival.
They love to party in Galveston. Those people, they know how to live
Just
their
an
life.
excuse to drink.
And yes, that's just one excuse
It's
to drink after
Tuesday.
another. And they just know how to live. They know how to enjoy life to the fullest and just have a good time.
It's the Mosquito Tuesday Festival.
That's right.
You know, and that's really neat, though. That is really neat because, as you mentioned, living on the beach has definitely its pros as well. There's a lot of fun stuff to do. Individuals who love to be outdoors, who love to go out fishing, who love to go out and doing some of those big outdoor activities, especially fishermen. It's a paradise down there.
It is, and I have a Harley that I enjoy riding, and you can ride all down along the coast, and it's just beautiful. You get
I knew
relaxed.
I liked him. Harley guy.
Harley guy.
There it is.
Oh yeah, always.
Well, and one of the things I was going to ask you, we were talking about this during the break, is when I talk about Galveston and people ask me about Galveston, or I'll ask them, hey, where do you live, or where are you going to be buying a home? Because a lot of times I'm financing somebody who's doing something like that. And they were very specific around, I live in Jamaica Beach, or I live on XYZ, or I'm on the north side, I'm on the south side. Describe the makeup of Galveston, because I hear people very specific about where you live upon the island.
Well, they have I'll start. The East End is a lot of UTMB professors, students, and things like that, because it's walking distance.
Okay.
It's mainly made up of a lot of older historic homes that have been renovated. They are just beautiful. They have the Galveston Homes Tour and things like that each year there.
And that's known as the Historic District, correct?
There are several historic districts.
Okay.
But the East End is one of them.
Okay.
There's Silk Stocking District. There's just many historic districts. And you go from the East End toward the beach, and you have a lot of homes, very affordable. Some people have them as second homes. That actually, I know some people that live down toward the East End, and they work by the medical center.
Okay.
And they do that commute. And then you head toward the west on the island, and you come off the seawall, and it's a lot of communities that'll have a beachfront section and then a bayside section where there are canals. So you can have your boat and do whatever you want to do, enjoying either skiing or boating or fishing. And that goes on from Lafitte's Cove, Pirates Beach, Jamaica Beach, Sea Isle, Terramar, Point West, and so on. There's so many of them to try to name.
Oh,
them all.
wow.
It's always so interesting because, no matter where I'm going to Galveston to do, because sometimes I'm going down there for business, but every time I go over that causeway, I feel like I'm on vacation.
Yes.
It just something about just going over that water and seeing that water just makes it. I know there's some new construction going on in Galveston. There's some high rises have been built in the last couple of years. When people are looking to buy maybe a second home, what kind of housing are they looking to buy?
Well, recently I worked with some people, and it was a condominium, under $100,000, great beach view right off the seawall. And I have some people from Katy that bought a home out on the west end of the island. They'll be at their daughter's volleyball game in Katy on a Friday evening, and they'll wake up to a beautiful sunrise at their beach house the next morning. So it's good. It's all condominiums, lots, second homes, up to, there's some very large homes out there on the west end.
Yeah, West End's very nice. And
I've always really enjoyed the historical nature of Galveston. It's just such it has a lot of history, and they've really done a great job at preserving that and preserving that feel. The Galveston Homes Tour is just really cool. If you've never done it, it's something definitely worth doing. So.
And the other thing is you also have what they call your beach side and your bay side.
Mm-hmm.
And that also is, describe a little bit about that. I mean, obviously we know what the term means on both sides, but for the individuals out there, there's also a difference associated with those two. You see people who really want to be bay side, and they have an affinity to staying on the bay side, and other people who want to still really stay on the beach side. How does that sort of work out?
The bayside people will be, they want to live on the canals. They can catch fish right in their backyard, or get in their boat and go out on the bay. The beachside people, they enjoy walking on the beach each morning, conveniently waking up. The sun rises over the Gulf, and so if you're beachside, you just have a phenomenal sunrise each morning.
Wow.
If you're bayside, it's the sunset. It's just a beautiful sunset. And so it just depends on what your taste is, what you prefer.
I just thought it was funny that everyone's referred to as when we had Catherine was talking about the lake people, and now we've got beach people and bay people.
We got all of our peeps around.
You got all our people, man.
He did mention history a second ago, and I love history, and I have been researching history for 10 years on the island, and there's still a long way to go. There's so much history. For anyone that does like history, there's just...
Well, and I would agree with you, because Galveston, if you look at some of the greatest tragedies we've had, and then some of the greatest successes we've had, exactly. Galveston has been a part of U.S., not just Houston history, but U.S. history over a period of time. Mm-hmm. And so it's really neat, as you mentioned, is when it comes to that, to go down there and to see Galveston and where it stands today from where it stood even a few years back with the big storm that hit. And the redevelopment that's happened now, and look at the big fire that took place, obviously in 1946 or something like that, or whenever it was. There's a whole bunch of different aspects of Galveston from a historical perspective that is really neat.
Jean Lafitte, the pirate, he had a fort out on the west end of the island and kept his ships hidden in Lafitte's Cove, and he had a house in town, which the slab is still there on Harborside Drive. He lived in town and had a fort out on the west end until the United States government, ran him off the island.
Really?
But the slab is still actually there with a historical marker for Jean Lafitte's home.
I had many, many years ago read a book called Joseph's Storm, and it was about the hurricane of 1900, and just a lot of the hurricane technology that developed after that was really inspired by a lot of what happened there. Really neat stuff. Galveston definitely has a long and interesting history.
It was a financial center for the southeast area of Texas, and he had operating casinos. I mean, it was a big place for people to come down. And after that is when it shifted to Houston.
Yeah, right. It was the largest banking center in the south of the United States. Galveston was before the 1900 storm.
Wow. That's just amazing to see all the stuff that goes on right there. And talk a little bit about housing. What are you seeing housing out there? I mean, what is we talk about people buying for lifestyles, and we talk about some of the great lifestyle things that you're seeing out there. But what is a typical buyer looking for in a house out in the Galveston area?
What I find is mainly it can be anything, but it's a lot of second homes. And I've had people from Katy, from the Woodlands. Recently sold some from Aurora, Colorado, and they just want a place out there on the west end where it's quiet and they can enjoy life with their family.
Well, and it's always a lot of fun to go out there, as you mentioned. One of the things I think is really neat. You come from the traditional home that you see in the Katy area, Memorial area, and we're going to talk about this in a minute with Seaside. But then you go out to the Galveston area, and you truly see it's a different way. The homes are built different. Mm-hmm. It's they're a little bit more elevated, obviously. But you also see that openness because they're trying to take advantage of the breeze that comes through, the smell, the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You also see, I have a friend of mine who loves to go fishing, and so he has this complete thing set up to be able to bring the fish home, cut them open, fillet them, et cetera, grill them right there. Mm-hmm. So it's really neat, and you do see a different design than the traditional home.
They all, when they design them, they'll sit down with an architect and they'll design them pretty much to their own taste and their own function. So if you drive along FM 3005 toward the West End and just look at all the homes, everyone is different.
Right.
And it's just what people build to their taste.
Do you find still, are there folks that purchase the many properties, or have you dealt with many people purchasing property for the investment side of it, for rental property?
Yes, we have a great rental program, and I would say more than half of the people that do purchase there put them in a rental program, and what their goal is they're just trying to break even on the home each year and get a home they can use down by the beach almost for free.
Right.
So there are well over half the homes out there are on some sort of a rental program.
Wow.
Because it's a thriving business out there.
Oh, wow. Well, I can imagine.
We did have some issues with the National Flood Insurance Program and wind and storm. Are we still having some issues with that?
It was just signed into effect, a 3-year delay on this, I guess would be the right word.
Yeah.
So we have 3 years that they're going to try to come to a decent solution that's fair to everyone.
What happened was the government subsidized the National Flood Insurance Program.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, everyone's going to be exposed to the full price of trying to refund the program, and also it was going to price people out of the market.
Oh, I would agree.
And so we, actually, part of what the realtors have done is kind of step forward and said, we have to fix this. We have a very strong lobby that worked on that specific issue.
Well, Jace, we are coming up against time. How can we reach you if we're looking at buying a home out there in the Galveston area?
The best way is to call my cell phone. It's always with me. It's 409-789-7021. And I do have www.jacemontgomery.com under construction right now, and it'll be rolled out within a month. But for now, webpage is www.har.com/Jace Montgomery.
And that's 409-789-7021. Give him about 30 minutes, by the way. He's still in the air for the next 30 minutes. Then you can call him all you want this afternoon. Anyways, we're coming up against the break right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. And by the way, I want to put a shout out there. Roger, you called in a little while ago. You had a question you want to ask about Conroe. Give us a call in about 15 minutes. That way we can get you back on. You can speak with Katherine and ask that question, by the way. We're gonna
welcome back to the fishing hour.
Well, exactly. So we're gonna continue with the fishing hour on the show. But actually, one of the things we're gonna transition is from an agent's view of the world, especially from a beach side of things, to an actual builder's view of the world. And right now we have an individual. He is from Seaside Construction. His name is Jeff, and
It's Erich.
Eric. It's
Jeff
not that
Erich.
complicated. It's just Eric.
The H is silent, so we don't live in Houston. We live in Houston.
Or Austin. You're from New York. You're from Austin.
Yeah, Austin.
That's right. Got to stop by the hospital later on and visit a friend of mine.
That is correct. But one of the things we've been talking about, we've obviously started off on the lakeside. We've transitioned over to the beach side, and now what we're going to really talk about is a little bit about building a home. You're obviously a very successful builder out there. And one of the things that we want to talk about is a little bit about what you're seeing out there. First of all, let us know who you're with, and then we'll go forward from there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for having us. My name is Jeff Erich. I'm the owner of Seaside Construction, and we build custom beach homes on the west end of Galveston.
And and I've seen your website, by the way. Let me just tell you.
Thank you.
Some of the beach homes you are building are absolutely phenomenal. And I went out. We always do our research. I went to your website, saw the pictures, and I also went. You're a recipient of one of Houston's best for Howells, if I'm not mistaken, and has some really, really neat things going on there.
Yeah, thanks. Howells has been a really great website for us because you really get an opportunity to showcase your work on there. And the really good thing is that you're able to invite your customers to give you reviews, and that's what we won for was customer service. Because we got really great reviews, and we have a 5-star rating on Howells.com, and it's a really great website, and there's a lot of people that go on there to get ideas for new homes.
And, what are you seeing out there? Obviously, one of the things that we talked, even before you coming on the radio show is Galveston has a lot of, I don't want to say rules, laws, or encumbrances, but
it's
building a home out
that.
in Galveston is not necessarily the most of easy things. Because of all the changes, because of all the things, the nuances you have to consider when building a home out there. Obviously, being windstorm, being in an area that's hurricane prone, et cetera, et cetera. How has that sort of impacted, the area, and how has that also assisted you in being able to continue to grow?
Well, I think it's just like anywhere else. I mean, if you go to try to build in Colorado, it's going to be different than you build on the beach than it is going to be in Houston. Every different place in the United States has got their own rules and regulations, and it's just adapting to those. I mean, we definitely have to adhere to the engineering and windstorm rules on our plans. And the homes that we build today are just fantastically tight. I mean, they're strong and they're going to withstand and be around for a long time.
And that's good because obviously with the weather patterns and changes that take place
Yeah.
in the Galveston area, actually in Houston in general, it's important for us to be able to have homes that stick around for a long time. Otherwise, I don't know if we could afford to live here anymore. Build a new home every 5 years.
If you don't like the weather, stick around for 15 minutes.
That is correct.
That's right. Well, we really pride ourselves on building quality homes and homes that are going to last a lifetime. I mean, truly, when we talk to customers about building a beach home, it's not just about building the home; it's about building a place they're going to have memories. I mean, when you build your home and whether it be the Woodlands or Sugarland or whatever, you're going to live there. But a beach home, a second home, is a place where you're truly going to bring all your friends and your family members and have some really fantastic memories that are going to last a lifetime. So when we take that very seriously when we design and we build our homes because we want them to have a happy experience.
We talk about lifestyle all the time. What are some of the design elements that you're seeing incorporated in today's market? Obviously, individuals are living out there. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff in regards to buying their second home. Are there any specific elements you're seeing more prevalent than not that are coming up right now?
Well, it depends. It's broken up into segments. So if it depends on what the buyers or the client's budget is really. And so, if you're just gonna build a 1,500 square foot home, you're typically gonna have a 1-story home, and it's gonna be something nice, and they're gonna have decent finishes. But then, like currently, we're building a 5,000 square foot beach home, and so it's 3.5 stories. It's got a cupola, an elevator, and so when you get around the 3,000 square foot size home, that's when you start seeing those elements. They want a nice viewing area on top of the roof, a beautiful cupola. They want the elevators inside the homes. They want big open areas, the family room and kitchen area. So those are pretty common elements.
So it really comes down to money then. No, just joking.
Well, yeah,
you can have anything you want that you're willing to pay for.
It really comes down to money. It really comes down to finances.
We've got listeners out there. They're going to probably want to know things like, what kind of questions do I need to ask of a builder if I want to build in Galveston? What are the things they should be asking?
Well, like we talked about before, you mentioned, the type of things we have to do as far as the engineering goes. You really want to find somebody that's been building down there for a while. Obviously, I'm a biased opinion, but it really is. It's very, very technical, and you need to know building on the beach is different than building on the bay, and you have setback rules, and you have to be so far away from the dune line if you're going to build on the beach. So it's very technical, and if you get with your local realtor or a builder like myself, if you're going down to try to find a lot, you're thinking about building a home in Galveston, you definitely want to get a hold of somebody that's been down there for a while.
And I've talked to some people who are developing, they talk about mitigation. Evidently, there's some wetlands out there that if you are trying to build close or near or that on wetlands that you actually have to have other land that you hold off of development so you can use that land. Have you been involved with that at all?
We haven't had much of that, but when you get into those type of situations, what you do is you contact the local municipality, City of Galveston, and then also the Army Corps of Engineers, and they can definitely direct you and give you specific.
Yeah, on the last quarter hour, I had to ask Jace because when I said that, he reacted to that, so I figured he had some past experience on that.
That's right.
And say anyway, so when they come in there and they find a lot and they call you, what's the first thing you're going to have them do?
Well, typically, the very first thing is I ask them how large of a home do you want to build, because it depends on the size of the lot. So we have to look at what the setbacks are, what the buildable area is, and then we talk about where the home is going to face. Like what is the important thing for the customer? Is it are we going to be facing the Gulf side, and do you want to see that sunrise, or do you want to see the sunset, or where is the front of the home going to face? So we talk about those questions, and then we talk about how much room we have in the lot to build, and that's really where it starts. And then we start getting some surveys, and we go forward from there.
Do you have primarily you have an in-house designer? You have, if somebody wants to sit down and they really have no, for me I don't know if it's a typical male thing. I know it when I see it.
Right.
Right. So you can show me the pieces. I'm like, yeah, I like that. Do you have a designer that you work with that throws out ideas, or do you find that most people come to the table with a clear idea of what they want already?
To answer your first question, yes, we have an in-house designer, and he works just for us. And
cool.
We really kind of refined the process over the last couple of years, because what I found is that people will go to an AutoCAD designer or even an architect that's not from the area, and if they don't know how to design beach homes, I mean, listen, it's not brain surgery or anything, but if you don't know how it gets put together, I can't tell you how many homes I've built where it was from a different designer, a different architect, where I'm out there in the field trying to piece this thing together because what they drew doesn't make sense. So what we did is I hired a full-time architectural designer, and we have a sit-down meeting face-to-face, me, the designer, and the customer in our office. We sit around a conference room table, and we talk about all their wants, all their needs. They'll bring us pictures from house.com. They'll bring us all kinds of pictures from Pinterest, and we kind of all put it together. And so it's really nice, because typically you don't really get face-to-face when you're talking with a designer. It's maybe one meeting, and then it's all through email. So there's a real sense of I don't know. They feel really good about it.
Do you do any kind of like 3D modeling or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we just had a meeting yesterday. The Mintons, they just came in. We're going to be building a 3,500 square foot house in Point West, and they just came in just for that specific reason, because they wanted to see the 3D modeling. So we have a 54-inch monitor in our office, and we plug the CAD in, and we rotate it, and it's really fantastic, and they know exactly what the home looks like.
Now, if someone on the show, let's say in Humble, was willing to go over to Galveston.
Just wild example.
Wild example. Somebody who's actually looking for a new house.
Yes, exactly. You'd be able to take care of him.
I'll take care of anybody. Seriously, we're very available. We meet on the weekends because we realize that people, they can't come to Galveston during the week, and so we try to make it an easy process for people.
What amenities are they adding? Because we had somebody who does ultimate pools on a couple weeks ago, and we thought Galveston they do put a lot of pools in. You seen that?
Some of them do. I mean, I see more pools on probably the canal side or the bay side of things than the beach. You don't really see a whole lot of that there because, gosh, you can walk out 50 yards in the water.
Yeah, well, and that's true. How about outdoor kitchens and things of that nature?
Somewhat. The problem is that everything rusts down there. So, you got to protect it. And,
rust is a way of life.
Yeah.
Really? I wonder why it rusts down there, huh?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
That's weird. I can't imagine down there. Let me see, living on the beach and salty water. And
we are already down to the last minute before break here. If folks want to get together with you about a new beach home, how do they reach you?
Well, you can reach me on my cell phone at 409-599-8850. or you can email me at Jeff, Jeff, at seaside-construction.com.
That is awesome. That's Jeff at seaside-construction.com. Again, we have one more segment coming up. Lance, I know you were trying to call in. We had a question in regards to selling and buying a new home. Give us a call right now. We'll pick you right back up right after this break.
The girl in the world is smiling 'cause she's in love. The girl in the world is smiling 'cause she's in love with the man in the moon. When two heavenly bodies glow, all the stars agree. A planet might be born, maybe even a galaxy, and in the morning.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back, and we are taking phone calls, by the way, at 800-808-5548. I know we've had Roger and Lance both call in. Unfortunately, at that time, we were well entrenched in a conversation and couldn't switch over at that moment. We apologize, but call back in. We'll definitely take your phone call.
So about the smoked redfish. When's that party?
Exactly.
What's those folks' house that you're building, the 3,500 square foot place there? Party at their place, some smoked redfish.
Have a party at that house. I'll do all the
That's
cooking.
what I'm hearing.
I've turned into a great cook, especially with the fish.
I absolutely love some smoked fish. So.
Oh, I am right there. I mean, the redfish you were talking about, you can catch right there, right on the bayside, and grill it up. I mean, that's pretty interesting. You know, one of the things, especially from, we're not doing a fisherman show, but, one of the things I do love, though, is...
Welcome to the fishing hour.
Talk about this. Individuals on the bayside can, you put on this light, and the fish come up right up to the light, basically, and you catch and cook and grill from there.
Yeah, I walk out my door at night, I look down, I see my light underwater, and I see the size of the fish that are circling it, and just go down there and catch a couple of them.
Honey, what are you on for dinner tonight? I got a redfish, that one's gone. I got a flounder.
And
and one
the
of
same
the
thing
things
on the lake too. I know people go out and fishing during the day, and they come home at night with their catch. And I love catfish and bass.
Right,
great eating crappie.
Lake Conroe is the biggest sea bass fishing lake. They have the fishing contest every year, and I have a grandson, Jordan, who's been fishing out on the lake since we took him out on 2 right off of our pier. He fishes every day, and he's won several contests. And he wants to be a fishing guide someday in the future. But we have such big fish out there. They're huge.
Now, I was going to ask you a question because one of our callers that called in a while ago, we couldn't get to him.
Okay.
His question was retirement communities in the Conroe area. One of the things he wants to get into information on, I guess, is just retirement in general in Conroe, and if there's any, over 55 areas maybe to live in, or what do you look at in regards to retirement in the Lake Conroe area?
Well, there aren't exactly a specific area that is related to 55 and over. But a friend of mine, Doug Joslin, is a builder on Lake Conroe, has Blue Heron Bay, is building with an investor out of Houston here, a builder, and they're going to be kind of like set up like that. It's not there yet, but it's coming. So once one gets going, they're all coming if we get the people who want to come for 55 and over.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. And how about what's going on in Galveston? Anything in regards to retirement communities and or over 55 living in Galveston that you might know of?
Not particularly 55 and older, but there are certain condominiums and things that cater to that age. But there's not any specific communities for the 55 and older that I know of.
Well, one of the things we always like to do is make sure we ask all these questions that our listeners want to ask. So, hopefully, Roger, that answered some of your questions right there. If you want to get anything more in depth, we tell everybody also you can not only call in, but you can also go to Facebook and ask us a question on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.com/Real Estate Rat Pack. If you have a question that comes up during the week, feel free to post it there. We check that out, and we'll address the question when it next show.
And, and we actually posted a question out there about what do you prefer, beachside or lakeside living? I'll tell you, beach is winning by a mile so far.
Yeah.
And I've had several posts on there saying, hey, and the fishing that you're saying as far as redfish, et cetera, are actually improving upon it right there.
Yes. Yeah. I am a professional eater.
Yeah.
So anytime you need, feedback on some grilling, just let me know.
But,
I am available.
But there does seem to be 2 distinct camps.
Yes,
Saltwater
absolutely.
and freshwater.
Absolutely.
And so, Catherine, make sure you defend the freshwater side because I know I love going up to Lake.
We don't get
Conroe.
sand in our pants up there.
There it is. You heard it here, folks.
That is true. No sand in pants
no
if you're
sand
living
in
in Lake
pants.
Conroe. You know, and I actually had one of my good friends. He's actually the owner of a Ford dealership, here in Houston, and he wrote Beachside in Hawaii.
Yeah, okay.
That's not what this show is about.
Nothing to do with nothing at all. Talking about grilling, I'm hungry, so I got food on the mind. But I do a lot of grilling, and I was thinking about the rust thing. My firebox rusted, so I went on the website and ordered a whole new section of the grill for that. Thankfully, I could replace it, and all the parts were back ordered and had different ship dates, right? So I ordered all these parts, and the only thing that's come in so far is a little vent cover. I'm like, well, that fixed everything.
It might be time to break down and get a new grill.
Yeah. Well, the grill was pretty expensive, so I was glad I could spend a much smaller amount on replacing that part. But I don't know if you have rusting grill issues out in Galveston.
Yeah, I have to replace parts on my grill all the time, but I wouldn't trade the life for anything.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful to live right there on the water and catch dinner whenever you want to.
You got me thinking about that. I'm hungry and like fish.
We're all going to hit either Conroe or Galveston after the show.
Right, exactly. And you know what? One of the things, no sand in your pants. Right. On the lakeside, I think.
You heard it
but
here.
also, the other thing that's pretty neat, and I will say this is, me personally, while I like both sides, I also like the protection I get from some of the elements that unfortunately I would not get in the Galveston area. So, there's always pros and cons, right? One is, do I want to pay the insurance costs associated with a potential, catastrophic hurricane, or I can still get some of the great bass eating up in the lake area, as you mentioned right there, with all the same amenities and probably even more when it comes to shopping.
And, I
which
never
my
had
wife
one
would
jellyfish in Lake Conroe. Not once.
love. Really?
No jellyfish.
No jellyfish. That is correct. And I got to tell a story. I used to go down to South Padre Island, which obviously, if you're on the island side right there, loved it for many years. Went up there all the time, and I never forget. It's the first time I discovered a jellyfish when its tentacles got onto me. Now, no one had to pee on my leg, fortunately, at that time, but it was not necessarily it wasn't necessarily the most pleasant experience.
Family
getting bit by a jellyfish. So, tell everybody, if you're out there swimming in the beach, be cognizant of, we do have jellyfish
in the bay.
and you can get them in the bay as well?
Oh, yeah.
Believe me.
They can be anywhere. Mm-hmm. Anywhere in the salt water, they can be. But my ex-wife, we lived in Sea Isle, and she swam for the University of Texas, and her and my daughter would get in the canal and swim laps all day. And they didn't attack them, so they are there though.
They're not usually aggressive. They just usually bump into them. I mean,
I learned that they can be in the bay in masses in a hard way because skiing in the bay and had fallen in and I had given my I had a nice wedding ring that I had designed and everything, and got stung by a jellyfish, and then climbing on the boat, got stung again by another jellyfish, and in the process of throwing my hands up, shrieking in pain, the wedding ring went shooting off. So there's a nice wedding ring in the bay somewhere.
I did want to.
If you find it, Joe.
I did want to mention to you guys, although we're talking a lot about fish, like, let's
talk about fish.
There are some really cool things. So I know that up on Lake Conroe, but in Galveston, I have to tell you guys, I love living there. And we talked about it. It's exciting. You go over the causeway, and you can just feel the energy. Your heart rate drops a little bit lower. You start relaxing. But like right now, this weekend, there's like 3 festivals going on. There's a Galveston Beach Review. There's a party on East Beach. We live like right behind the seawall near the Pleasure Pier.
Right.
And my family.
This is a family show, so
no. This is really good. I don't know if you know, but the Pleasure Pier. I know it sounds funny, but the Pleasure Pier is an amusement park.
Opens at 10 o'clock at night.
Tillman Fertitta Bill. Yeah.
Right.
He did a great job, and it's really exciting in Galveston right now. So my family and I on Saturday and Sundays we get on our beach. I just bought a new beach cruiser. And we just go up and down the seawall, and we'll stop and have lunch one day and dinner the next day.
Right.
It's I think Galveston gets a bad rap a lot of times because it's not Hawaii. But let me tell you something. It's a fantastic place.
Well, and you also have things like the Hotel Galvez.
Right.
Really neat to go to. You've got Moody Gardens out there. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's one of the things I don't think we did talk a lot about.
The steakhouse at the San Luis is in the top 5 in the nation.
Yes.
As far as steakhouses
excellent.
go. It is excellent, and it does rate top 5 in the nation at the San Luis. But there are so many restaurants. Any type of food that you want, you can find some of the best there is right there in Galveston.
Well, every year, my wife, on her family's side, they're from Surfside. And every year we have a family reunion down there. We rent a beach house for a week, and I tell you what, man, you say going over the causeway, and we go over that huge bridge, and you come and see the lake. See the ocean. It's definitely
the really big lake.
Yeah, the really big lake. It's definitely that sense of I have arrived in vacation.
Okay, Catherine, they've thrown the gauntlet down. I think you need to step up and defend Conroe. I'm hearing a lot of Galveston. So I know you all have festivals and you have great restaurants. So let's talk about it.
Look, I will absolutely jump in and give a plug on that side as well, because I had never honestly done any kind of vacationing on the lake. I'd been over it 100 times, that kind of thing, just being out there in that area. But my mom has the timeshare thing, and she really said, you should come check it out. I had a blast. I loved it. It was beautiful up there. We're going to go every other weekend up there now. It's just beautiful stuff. I love
Catherine,
it.
give us some comments.
Well, it's
place
Houston's
to eat.
playground. Remember, that's how it started. So we're still up there, and it's Houston's playground and drinking water. So don't forget that.
And drinking water.
And drinking water. So remember,
Treat us
up
nicely.
there. It's a fun place. It's peaceful and serene and quiet, and people come up there for that reason too.
And you've got nice.
So if you get mad at anybody in Houston,
tons of restaurants, and we have marinas that are being developed. Jim Winkler developed a marina right there, and he rents out his huge boat. It's a huge.
By God, be proud of your area.
Well,
The Galveston people are taking over.
Well,
here.
I think the one thing to know about everything is that we are in one of those areas of town, and when I say being Houston, areas of the country in which you can literally go north or south and have a great living. It's not a matter of one being better than the other. It's a matter of opportunity and choice, right? And so you can go up to the north side and have all the amenities associated with Lake Conroe, go out to Walden, all that living you have up there. Or if you prefer to be on that beach side, as Rob and I are dressed as a lake and beach side today, you can go out to that beach side and go have the fishing and go have the deep sea fishing, et cetera, et cetera. We didn't give Joe the memo. But, it's not a matter of one being better than the other. It's a matter that we have choices in Houston. How many places can you say that in the United States in which you've got choices that we have here in Houston?
Well,
not very many.
One thing that Houstonians know how to do is drive.
Yeah.
It's 50 miles anywhere. I drive 50 miles across town in just a blink of an eye. We went up to New England a few weeks back and drove through 4 states in the time it takes me to get across town. So we know how to drive here. So it's great that we can pop up to the lake or head down to the coast as easy as that.
Well, I would absolutely agree. One of the things I want to say is I want to thank all of our guests for being on today, by the way. You guys have all been absolutely incredible. If you're looking for a home either up in the Walden, Lake Conroe area or down in Galveston, or you're looking at building a new home on the beach, look us up on Facebook. Look up all these great guests that we have. We definitely want you to utilize them. Great individuals, great people. We also want to thank all of our sponsors that we always forget to thank every single time.
Capital Title.
From
Lisa's
Capital Title. And Lisa for bringing on some of our great, that is correct. We have Lisa today with Capital Title in the Montgomery office. So we have some really good stuff going on. I always like to leave everything with a great quote, and this is from Teresa's Corner. She's no different. Today she sent me actually a really neat quote. It was where you are today is no accident. God is using you in the right situation to shape you and to prepare you for the place He wants to bring you into tomorrow. Trust Him with His plan, even if you don't understand it.
Thank you, Teresa.
I think that's really good. Teresa, thank you very much. Until next time, we are off the air.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank, he's Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, Dean. That's right.
Yeah. So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.